Great to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon for a soccer matinee on the farm. Troy Clarity, Jordan Watkins taking you through this one as the 2-0 Stanford Cardinal, ranked number 13 in the latest coaches poll, takes on the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos at 0-2-1 so far on the season. And Jordan, so far so good for the Stanford Cardinal. They are 2 up, none down in the win-loss column. They have outscored their opponents 8-0 to this point. And one of the stars in the early going of this season, the freshman from Connecticut, Lumi Kosmeyer, getting the start today in the 11.
Yeah, and it's been very well deserved. Anytime she's been out there, she's made a difference. And even one of the things that doesn't go on the record is also, remember, they had the exhibition against the Chinese national team where she also had an assist in that match as well. So big-time impact. She's definitely earned this right to be out there starting, so it's going to be fun to watch her today.
Gives Stanford some presence up front and certainly changes the pace of the game. As mentioned, we certainly saw that in a big-time way when Stanford had that exhibition against the China national team last week. Meanwhile, here come the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos, and both the Cardinal and the Gauchos have a common opponent in Sacramento State. Stanford beating the Hornets 5-0 in the season opener, while UCSB just coming off of a result at Sacramento State and getting a 1-1 tie.
Yeah, this is one thing that has been a pillar, if you will, of Santa Barbara the last few years. Is one thing is, they're going to have a lot of tough non-conference opponents. And, they're coming in here. It's obviously going to be another tough opponent here with Stanford. But they're looking for that first win, and I'm sure, though, Stanford has probably looked at that result, too, and they thought about, all right, well, this is how we did against them. But at the same time, you have to wash it a little bit as well, because not every single thing just matches up like that. Matchups matter, things like that. But, yeah, similar opponent. And, again, I think it's going to be something good for both teams here to have this match today.
Certainly the weather good for both teams and everybody else here on the farm. 76 degrees as we begin this one. Could not be a better day for playing soccer or watching soccer, or anything else you might have in mind here in the Bay Area.
And we have Narco playing right now, too. Like, everything is there's nothing wrong.
And if you can find something wrong in all this, then I suspect that's a you issue.
Let's say you might have a really good eye.
Gauchos Cardinal, away we go. Enjoy the match. Starting 11 for both teams. Let's go numerically. First for the Gauchos, Helwig, Tamayo, Alwis, Douglas, Madruga, O'Brien, Evan Smith in keeper, Lou, Ziem, McCoy, and Kate Miller rounding out the starting 11 for the Gauchos. Meanwhile, the starting 11 for Stanford, it is Ryan Campbell in goal, Elise Evans, Sierra Engie. Again, this is in numerical order. Engie, Doms, Ike, Wesley, Brandt, Rubenstein, Grubel, Williams, and Louis Kosmeyer, who has the ball right now, knocks it out towards the near side to Grubel, gets it to Kennedy Wesley, to Engie, and back to Ivani Brandt. Brandt and Evans have already proven formidable as a center-back tandem here in the early going. Evans, the freshman, one of several super impressive freshmen that we have seen so far in this early portion of the season. Wesley, left foot, penalty spot, aiming for Samantha Williams. Centered for Grubel, too high.
You talked about, Troy, how through these first two matches for the Cardinal, they outscored opponents 8-0. The thing for me that really stands out, when you look at the shot disparity between Stanford and their opponents, 52 shots in 2 games already for Stanford, 11 for their opponents.
Certainly putting the heat on opposing defenses and opposing keepers as well. There's Lauren Helwig, who has it for a moment before giving it back to a teammate. Helwig with 1 of 2 goals scored for UCSB so far. Meg Burling has the other one. Gauchos lost their first 2 matches of the season. The opener against Colorado College, and then dropped the result last week at St. Mary's. 2-1 and 1-0, those respective finals, before getting a tie against Sacramento State, in which Hellwig struck first.
Yep.
7th minute. But then a penalty kick goal by Sacramento State tied it in the 39th minute, and that was that. No more scoring after that.
I believe that was the first time, too, where Santa Barbara scored first this season.
So goals have been relatively hard to come by for the Gauchos to this point. Aiming for Kostmeyer, who has outscored UCSB by herself so far this season. Gauchos coached by Paul Stumpf in his 23rd year as the head coach there at UCSB. They had a tough start last year. Started off 1-5-2, but then put it together, went unbeaten in their next 8, 6-0-2, before finishing 8-9-3 and tied for 4th in the Big West. Cardinal win it back defensively. Here comes Williams. Has the speed, has the pace, keeps it on the ground, and an easy collection for Evan Smith.
One of the things that I always get a kick out of, Troy, is whenever we have these coaching matchups where, for one coach, it's all-time leader in wins in the program. And then on the other side, it's all-time program leader in wins as well. And that's exactly what we have here today, too.
Paul Ratcliffe has won 341 matches in his Cardinal career. 395 overall. Don't forget he was the head coach at St. Mary's from 1998 to 2002 before coming to Stanford. Ratcliffe in his 20th year.
And the fun thing about being in Kagan, whether it's for the men's or women's, is we have an opportunity here.
Here comes Doms. Maya Doms, her first touch, gives up to Grubel, too strong. UCSB trying to turn it into something, but it bounces beyond, and Ryan Campbell, the keeper for the Cardinals, sends it away. Yeah, you can't have to stop whatever you're doing when Maya Doms makes plays like that, swooping in, grabbing possession, and sizing things up, but a touch too hard off of Grubel's foot.
There's a reason why any award watch list you can think of, her name is on it.
First team All Pac-12 last year. Had the goal for Stanford against the China national team to win it in the 85th minute. Leg collection by Engie. Stanford had it for a moment. Stanford won that exhibition 1-0. Poked forward, right to Campbell. And it came right after a pretty physical stretch in which Doms and the midfielder for China were kind of exchanging some pretty physical sequences, some fouls back and forth. Doms was showing some emotion out there, and she got revenge the best way possible by scoring the goal to beat China. Williams with Doms on the outside. That one is sent out by Jessica Tamayo.
And we talked about it too. Again, Kostmeyer, she's the one that had the assist in that. And I think another big part of that for Stanford too, when I was looking at some of the stats about that exhibition, they were outpossessed. It was 56-44 in favor of the Chinese national team, and still you find a way to get things done and win against the, at that time, the number 16 ranked FIFA team in the world.
Kostmeyer, when she came in against China late in the first half, certainly changed the pace then. And then once again in the second half, here comes some terrific passing. Doms tries to turn, isn't given enough room. Outside to Williams. Williams, left foot, right on frame to Smith. Well, it appeared that for a moment, Doms in the box might have a bit of an opportunity, but UC Santa Barbara defender closed quickly and forced Stanford to try another way through. Evan Smith, the senior from Santa Clarita, getting the start today at Sac State. She played just the first half. Sabrina Hines played the second half. Gauchos have already played 3 different keepers so far this year. Taylor Little got the start in the season opener. Williams, outside to Rubenstein. Finds another gear. Almost got back to Grubel.
I thought my Doms might have had a chance at a near post run there too.
Can't keep her footing, and the foul called on Brandt. Maya Doms had an assist at UC Santa Barbara when these two teams last met in 2019, as they reversed the call, and it goes in Stanford's direction. That was a 1-0 win for Stanford down at Harder Stadium. September 15th, 2019, Sophia Smith with the 79th minute goal. And that was coming off of a road trip in which Stanford may have been a little tired. They'd lost to Pepperdine earlier before heading up the coast to UC Santa Barbara. But that win at UCSB sparked a 19-game win streak that carried all the way to the championship. Bounces inside the 6. Nobody touches it. Goal kick for the Gauchos coming up.
And that was one of the things, too, I was going to mention earlier. The fun part about being in Kagan is you see the resumes on the wall. And, again, with Paul Ratcliffe and what he's done here, and there might have to put a new panel up there after a while because you're running out of room.
Yeah, their next Pac-12 championship might cause a reassessment of space.
Or at least at worst, right, make you reconsider how much you get to use the tab button.
Hey,
like you're going to have to start moving those over a little bit.
Hey, that's a good problem to have.
Absolutely.
Though, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, we're running out of room in the rafters. That's a problem that many problems will happily take and face. Engie out to the far side to Rubenstein. Kept in bounds. Doms, actually, nope. Out of bounds. UCSB to throw it in. Stanford ahead in this series, 7-6-1 all time. But keep in mind, the Cardinal have won 7 straight. And they've outscored the Gauchos 14-0 over the last 5 meetings. UCSB actually started the series 6-0-1. But also keep in mind that all 7 of those matches happened between 1985 and 1990. That was a long time ago.
I wasn't around yet.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
I had to.
Grubel hangs on to it, gets back to Wesley. Ike, Brandt, Rubenstein, and here comes Doms. Wesley here on the near side. Rubenstein. Jasmine Ike, the freshman from Palo Alto, California, getting her 3rd start in as many matches for Stanford this year. Off of Hellwig, she's able to win it.
Doesn't it just always seem like this program has a handful of freshmen year in and year out that come in already ready to contribute?
I like that play there by Wesley, just letting the ball roll past her, let the defender's momentum carry beyond. Yeah, certainly just in my time calling these matches, you get to see Kiki Pickett as a freshman. You get to see Savannah Coleman as a freshman. Got to see Katerina Macario as a freshman. And you walked out of the building early in those respective seasons going, oh boy, I have a little something here.
For years.
For years to come. Doms.
Nice.
Keeps on the ground off of Akey's front foot. Ike might not have been quite expecting that one with the pace in which Doms put it. Free kick opportunity coming up for the Card.
Sometimes it's almost like that's the thing that can come with playing with such a good player, where some of those passes and angles where you don't expect it, that's where they happen, and it still surprises you.
And that may have been about the only spot where Doms could have put it in that situation. Free kick now for the Card. Watch out for Wesley. Watch out for Kosmeyer. She's 5'11", so she is the size to be a target. I see Ike there as well. She's 5'10". They're all looming around the 18, as is Doms. Grubel towards Dom. Snap header wide of the post.
That was almost a soccer version of a pick and roll, if you will. I saw Maya Dom setting up, and Kosmeyer was there too. Kosmeyer set a little bit of a rub to get Dom's open, and again, they got a good look at it.
Evan Smith took over the starting goalkeeper role late in the 2019 season after Hannah DeWeese got injured and was lost for the year. Poked towards Grubel.
Oh, good move.
Grubel finds some room. Right foot, trying to find Williams. She's trying to get there off the second effort, and knocked away, but right to Grubel. Grubel, eludes one, eludes a second, uncorks right to Smith.
One thing's for sure, you can tell this Stanford team, they do not get rushed. Even there, those were two really good moves in a tight window. So even in a moment like that, you see the calm and the composure to try to make some magic happen.
Well, and you also saw UCSB move to the ball well,
yes,
too, as there certainly could have been a couple more much open looks for Stanford in that sequence. But those windows a bit tighter than perhaps they could have been, if not for a more cohesive defensive effort for the Gauchos. Gauchos picked 6th in the Big West preseason poll. UC Irvine, the Anteaters, topping that one. Stanford topping the Pac-12 preseason poll. Towards Hellwig. Engie out there defending. Hellwig with a hard touch. Crosses, nobody along the back post. And falls out of bounds harmlessly. Lauren Hellwig had the game-winning goal against the University of San Diego last year. She didn't play soccer in high school. Played hoops instead. She was a point guard, but she was still very much in the club soccer scene. It's not unusual for high school kids not to play soccer in high school. Sticking to the club. Rolled towards the penalty spot. Sent away by Ike. Grubel, the back kick. Rolls towards Kosmeyer. Waits. And that one is sent out of bounds.
That's
Should
kind
be
of
off the Gauchos.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that I feel like has been more of a theme with both of the sports that Hellwig played, right? Basketball and soccer, where and if you really want to get noticed, you want to have that recruiting profile, it's the AAU circuit. It's the club circuit.
Yep.
It's no longer just what we do with the high school programs.
Tamayo off. Emma Corcoran, freshman, in for the Gauchos. Headed inside the 18, the takedown. And the call as Engie and Shea Douglas both took a tumble. And this one's just outside the box.
A tumble is the right way to put it, because honestly, when I was watching that, I couldn't even tell you who I thought initiated the contact.
And I actually thought that one was inside the 18. But the referee with a better vantage point. Take her word for it. Hellwig standing over the ball. Just outside the 18. A lot of possibilities here. Ryan Campbell back behind the wall. Keeps it on the ground and it ricochets off of Rubenstein.
Yeah, it looked like she wanted to bend and curve it around the wall on that right side and just got a little too much of it.
So the first corner kick of the match belongs to UCSB. Just over 15 minutes in, scoreless between Stanford and UCSB. Troy Clarity and Jordan Watkins here on a gorgeous Sunday afternoon at Stanford. Hellwig with the service. High, beyond the back post, bouncing beyond everyone. Gauchos trying to keep it in. And instead, it rolls towards Campbell, who handles it.
Troy, here's the best thing about the Bay Area. So obviously you and I, we were here last Thursday, and we were talking about how chilly it was getting towards the second half and end of the match as Kosmeyer has a chance. Ooh.
Yep, Kosmeyer, but Smith coming off her line. A bit of contact. Kosmeyer getting checked on by Smith. She needs a quick moment, readjust the socks. She's all right. Well, and Kosmeyer, co-team leader with 3 goals for Stanford, has certainly proven her presence. Still has a bit of a hitch in her get-along right now. Let's keep an eye on that.
I think she just pointed over to the bench, too, that I need to get out.
Yeah, now she's down on one knee. Brandt Stanford players trying to get the referee's attention. And they finally do. And Kosmeyer with a bit of a slow walk off to the bench. The freshman from Southbury, Connecticut, coming off of a 5-point night against the USF Dons on Thursday. 2 goals and an assist. She comes off. And Amy Sayer, the junior from Sydney, Australia, comes on. Paul Ratcliffe likes the depth that he has on this team, and that depth has certainly shown itself in the early going this season. In fact, Stanford reserves responsible for 6 of the Cardinals' 8 goals this year.
Just taking a look at Kosmeyer now. She's sitting down on the bench, and of course, we won't hear an update, but if we see anything, we'll let you all know about it.
Doms wins it back, ahead to Engie. To Sayer, who just entered the match. But Doms just didn't quite have enough room. A couple of blue shirts converging upon her. That's never a bad idea. Off of Miller, out of bounds. Back to Brandt. Finds Sayer, who just didn't quite have enough room to completely pull off that maneuver. Impressive stuff, but out of bounds.
It sure was a thing. I mean, you even heard the crowd here in front of us kind of have that gasp of, oh, I almost had it. Speaking of, phenomenal turnout today. I saw a lot of the Gaucho faithful as well in the parking lot earlier, tailgating, having a good time.
Helwig. Grubel with the block. And Stanford getting it back. UCSB reorganizing on defense. To Wesley. Trying to turn. Williams finds some space, but Alyssa O'Brien gets there first. And Wesley lets it go out of bounds, accepts the ball from the ball girl, and off we go again. Grubel, the grad student from Southern California. 1-on-3 in the 3 win. There's Elise Evans, freshman from Redwood City, California, the reigning Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of California. Was also the #1 recruit in the class of 2022, according to Top Drawer Soccer. Allie Montoya, another freshman on this team, was #3. Haven't seen Montoya yet. There's Evans. Knocks it back to the far side. Miller out there.
There's that age-old adage, right, Troy? Good programs, they don't rebuild, they reload.
Yep. Stanford, one of the top recruiting classes in the country, again. Spearheaded by a trio of local youngsters. There's the center, poked away, right to Sayer for the score! Off the service, Smith got a hand on it, but it fell right to Amy Sayer, who said, "Thank you very much. I'll put that in for my 2nd goal of the year." 1-0 Cardinal.
Look what I found. That's really what it was. I mean, you said it. There was a punch on it and landed right at her feet. And nice, cool, calm, and composed. Listen, you'll definitely find tougher goals to score than that one.
So in the 21st minute, Amy Sayer adds on to her goal total as she put one across against Sac State in the season opener. Sayer, who just came on the match a couple of minutes ago, replacing Lumi Kosmeyer, who suffered a bit of a knock in a collision with the Gaucho keeper, Evan Smith. And Sayer, what's that they say? Once you come in the match, the ball tends to find you.
Exactly.
Sayer finds a goal. Dylan Lewis has entered the match for UCSB. As the Gauchos find themselves down 1-0.
And just giving a quick update, I think I see Lumi Kosmeyer still on the bench. Looks like she has some ice now on that left leg as it's up on the bench as well. So if I had to make make an assumption based off that, probably won't see her again today, which is unfortunate.
Engie collides with a Gaucho, but instead UCSB hangs on to it before Elise Evans swoops in from out of nowhere. Rubenstein hanging on to it along the sideline. Well done. Well, and obviously you'd love to see Kosmeyer play as much as she can in this one, and let's see how that potentially affects things for Stanford's match on Thursday. Oh, by the way, the 10th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions are coming to town that day. But at the same time, the depth that Stanford has, and oh, by the way, don't forget Andrea Kitahara, who spent much of August with the women's under-20 national team at the World Cup down in Costa Rica. She's back. In fact, she actually played 27 minutes against USF on Thursday. Evans beats Alwas to the ball and gets back to Ryan Campbell. So I would imagine that we would see Kitahara at some point in this match. The All Pac-12 second teamer from last year, and boy, what a streak she put together last year of just outstanding play. Grubel turns. Rolls back to Brandt after O'Brien came up. That's off of Lewis, out of bounds. And substitutions coming in for the Card. Williams, Grubel, and Engie off. Ali Montoya, Julia Leontini, and, as if on cue, Andrea Kitahara in the match for the Cardinal.
Always a broadcaster's dream. Everything works out exactly how you say it.
Doms. That one off of a UCSB defender, allowing Smith to get it easily. Leontini, the junior from Danville, California. Ali Montoya, the freshman from Los Altos. And Kitahara, the sophomore from Hillsborough, California.
That's up where the Flintstone house is, right, in Hillsborough?
I don't know exactly technically where it is. It wouldn't surprise me if that was Hillsborough, right off of 280. You can see it, especially if you're heading in the northbound direction. Yeah, not exactly sure if that's technically Hillsborough or not, but it's in the neighborhood.
A couple of little towns up in that area. I'm not really sure where exactly one starts, the other one stops.
Aki Yuasa also in the match. She wears 32. She has the ball right now. Not far enough out to find Wesley.
It almost looked like Maya Doms and Yuasa, they wanted to do a little give and go there, but a little bit of a miscommunication.
Yuasa, a freshman from Charlotte, Vermont. Yeah, we know technically where Palo Alto ends. We can see it right here. There's
exactly.
El Camino Real right there. And on the other side of the eucalyptus curtain is technically Stanford, which is its own census-designated place.
I think that's my one Stanford homer pet peeve is when I have friends that ever come out and they ask about Palo Alto. It's like, well, you do know if we're going to a football game, we're not going to Palo Alto. We're going to Stanford.
It's not quite the same.
Right.
Hard shot, knocked down. Leontini hunting for a long-distance goal. Alwas. Lewis. And Evans snuffing that one out, per usual. We've become accustomed to seeing that kind of play from center backs. Obviously, Naomi Gurma, most recently, Tuna Davidson, Alana Cook. The list goes on, but it appears that that position could very well be in good hands for years to come. And we in the mix.
And we talked about that on Thursday a bit, right? Even with some of the names that you mentioned, we said, good luck. You could probably make a whole women's national team roster based off Stanford players alone. And, again, to your point, you talk about how you've already had players they have the U20 experience. And, I mean, even now, if you look at the senior team, all the names that have had logged minutes with them, it really is impressive, just the continued run that Paul Ratcliffe has built here.
Well, look at it this way. 12 current and former Cardinal currently on senior national teams. 9 on the USA, 1 each on New Zealand, Australia, and Ireland. Substitution for the Gauchos is Haley Phillips. A freshman from San Diego is in. Phillips actually originally committed to Yale. Maybe she looked at winters in Santa Barbara versus winters in New Haven and said, you know what? We would not falter there if that was the case. There's Phillips on the far side. Ahead to Sayer. Tried to negotiate the ball and an on-rushing defender. Phillips again. Finds Kitahata, who wears a white shirt. Sayer lets it roll past. Gets it back. Kitahata fell down. And the referee rules that she had a little help in her tumble.
You saw it right away, too. She was looking around for the whistle and eventually got it.
Well, we know Leontini can strike from distance. It appears that she's going to be over the ball here. Let's call it about maybe 27 yards out. 28 perhaps. Call about 27. Just to the left of center. Sayer's there too. Leontini behind Smith, but wide of the post. Stanford players were saying that Smith got a couple fingertips on that one, but to no avail. It's a goal kick.
Yeah, I saw Amy Sayer. She was one of the first leading that campaign. Try to get that corner.
Substitution for UCSB. Shea Douglas comes off. Layla Emerson, a sophomore from Brighton, England, comes on. Layla's favorite bands, by the way, include Tribe Called Quest. Thumbs up on that one.
I must say, I'm impressed.
Always like it when the kids appreciate the classics. Was quoting Fife Dog myself a little bit earlier before the match today. In the mixer, in the middle, Leontini.
Troy, I think we've talked about this before. You know who my favorite band of all time is, right?
Not ringing a bell off the top of my head.
The essential elements known as Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, okay.
And talk about classics.
Nice job by you.
Nice job by Mom and Dad.
38 people on stage. Horn sections 28 deep. Hard to go wrong.
And they, even to this day, watching them in concert, it truly is a performance.
Kitahata's a performance, too.
Yes.
Doms fighting. Chipped away by UCSB. Montoya. Just outside the box. Chipped towards Sayer. Score! Perfect service. And Amy Sayer went up and got it. 2-0. Cardinal.
You just saw the build-up coming for that for a while now. And you mentioned it. Perfect spot by Sayer right there by that near post. Perfect ball in. And she did not miss it. And it had to deal with the goalie coming out a bit too. Just all around great goal.
Sayer in the 21st minute. And now Sayer again in the 30th minute. Sayer had the game-winning goal against Santa Clara last year. That battle of champions right here in this park. What fun that was. Played back to Evans. Sayer, the junior from Sydney, was named to the Pac-12's all-freshman team in the 2020 season. And it was one of the more underrated facets of what Stanford was able to do last year. Just service on set pieces, corner kicks, sometimes in the run of play. Just being able to place the ball in perfect spots where their teammates have chances to make plays like Sayer just did.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like you mentioned. It doesn't get talked about enough, I feel like, in terms of, obviously whenever there is a goal off a header or a corner, you name it, then that's what we say, oh, what a great ball in. But a lot doesn't go into the times of maybe when there isn't the good ball in. Again, even the match that we had on Thursday when Villanova men's team was here, we're talking about how they have a 6'5" defender that should be a presence in the goal, but or on those corners and crosses, that looked like a handball. But for whatever reason, he doesn't have many goals. And it's like, why? How can you not find him in the box?
Yep. Brennan Madruga may have gotten away with the handball inside the 18. Montoya gets some space. Montoya, center towards Kitahara, but this one is popped up and collected by Smith.
What a move.
Montoya with the feisty footwork. Impact player, according to Paul Ratcliffe. And here come the Cardinal again. Waits. To the touchline. Kitahara! Oh, just not beyond her reach.
Great effort by Evan Smith.
Smith able to deflect that one away from Kitahara. And again, a ball that potentially gave Kitahara a chance. But that was just stellar work by Smith. Tip of the cap.
Oh, yeah, make no mistake about it. If she doesn't get her fingertips on that, we're looking at a 3-0 match right now.
Yep. Finds a way past Montoya, but rolls right to Evans. Good to see Andrea Kitahara back in the mix. Katie Duong has been in the match for the last few minutes. As we discuss terrific service, Duong perhaps a specialist in that category. The transfer from Minnesota. There's Kitahara. Kitahara. Diasa. She puts it goalward. And on a bounce, Smith collects. A Gaucho player needs a moment. She gets back up to her feet. I believe that might be Lewis coming off on the far side. Meanwhile, Rubenstein comes out, and Logan Smith comes in to the match. Smith, a freshman from Boise, seeing her first playing time this season. Meanwhile, Sam Christie comes into the match for UC Santa Barbara, freshman from San Diego. It is warm. It's maybe not the best ball off of Smith's foot, but it is a bit warm here. So perhaps some load management being observed in some instances for both squads. Tried to squeeze it to Yuasa. And Elwick says, hey, are you sure? But after Yuasa takes the spill, Stanford set for the free kick. Katie Duong, the senior from Portland, Oregon, was all Big Ten second team in 2020, made the Big Ten's all-freshman team the year before that. With Kitahara, Sayer, who has 2 goals already, Yuasa and Leontini standing at the 18. Places everyone. And action.
Just waiting for Kitahara to make this run that she just did across.
Ooh. Aimed towards Yuasa and off of Smith's hand. First corner kick now coming up for the Cardinal today.
I think even that caught Smith by surprise that got all the way through as she had to make that last-ditch effort to punch it away.
Yeah, there were some bodies in front of Smith. She may not have expected that ball to arrive when it did. Sarah Paulson coming on, rather, as Kennedy Wesley comes off. Paulson, a redshirt sophomore from Los Altos, California, her twin sister Catherine, who we've not seen so far today. High back post. Madison Eisen was the closest white shirt to it. Things got a bit too physical inside the 6, so a kick coming up for UCSB.
What is it with Stanford athletics lately and all these twins?
On the men's side, you've got Fletcher and Palmer Bank.
Yep.
For men's soccer.
Just had Lacey and Lexi Hull in basketball, women's basketball.
Stretch it back to the Collins twins.
Yep.
Leontini to Montoya with some speed. At least ZM with a bit of a bump and goes out of bounds. Stanford to throw it in. On a sprint, trying to get there. It's out of bounds again. Stanford trying to throw it in. Lost her footing and the ball. Kitahara pressuring. O'Brien with Phillips directing traffic in front of her. Maybe stepped in front of a teammate. Just not enough on that one.
Yeah, high pressure is really affecting the Gauchos right now.
Yeah, if you're playing against Stanford, your passing, it better be on point. It has not been for the Gauchos today.
And even to a point, I had to look up to the scoreboard because I saw that the Gauchos, they do have a shot already, but I didn't even remember it happening. That's how dominant the Stanford defense has been.
Out of bounds. Well done on the far side by Logan Smith. Sarah Paulson. Teammates calling for it. Leontini gets it. Has a little room to work before it's closed off somewhat by Corcoran. Towards Sayer with Duong trying to sneak behind. In the corner. The center. Nope. Swooping in, Sarah Paulson.
Oh, nice defense.
One-on-one. Wins. Crossed. The head goes in the wrong direction. Sarah almost had a hat trick if that had gone more towards goal. Smith, the center. In the mixer. Smith off her line. Poked into the corner for the score. Boy, you could sense that one coming. Stanford just relentless. And now they lead 3-0.
Relentless is the perfect word for that, Troy. You took it right out of my mouth. As I was going to say, even from the get-go, on this left side, Sarah Paulson, I was about to commend Haley Phillips for good defense, and then Paulson still stuck with it, won that matchup like you mentioned, and then no matter what, that ball kept going back in front of the goal, and eventually it paid off.
Katie Duong credited with the goal, the second of her Stanford career, and her first of the season. 3-0 Stanford with 6 minutes to go in the first half. All Stanford to this point. Helwig out to the far side. Gia Simring. Simring, a local gal from Los Altos, just down the road. But she actually grew up in South Africa, or moved to California from South Africa in 2009 as a youngster. Evans waiting, no pressure from the Gauchos. With 5 minutes to go in the first half. Cardinal mounting another attack. Sayer has 2 goals. The left foot rolls and stays on the ground right to Smith.
And even now you still see it, even up 3-0 right now, that high pressure for Stanford still in effect.
Montoya with Anna Pitt. But Stanford wins that battle. Inside the 18, chopped down from behind. We play on. Right foot. Leontini close. Falls to Sayer. Didn't have enough room to get off a shot. Boy, she was open too. If she'd been able to collect that one quicker, that would have been a hat trick.
And that's the thing, you could see she was trying to almost set up for the perfect shot in that situation and not the one that she had.
Evans takes a tumble. As she collided with Layla Emerson.
It's been a pretty physical match so far.
Evans being helped up to her feet. She'll try to give it a go. If you're just joining us, Lumi Kostmeyer, the freshman from Connecticut, who has gotten off to a terrific start, collided with UC Santa Barbara's goalie. Tried to stay in, but after about a minute or so, headed off to the bench, and she was last seen on the bench. Getting iced down.
I saw Dylan Lewis for Santa Barbara go out too.
But Montoya so dangerous with the defender on her. A centering attempt, out of bounds, corner kick coming up for the Card.
I still see Lumi Kostmeyer over there on the bench with that ice bag still in hand.
Corner kick steps right, number 32, Aki Iwasa.
Well, even though Stanford has the depth, that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to test it. Right foot in the air, penalty spot, Sayer, not on target. Well, they're trying to get Sayer that hat trick. They're trying.
It's almost like those moments in basketball, right, when you know someone's on the verge of getting a triple-double or that 50, 60-point game. You keep finding ways to get them the ball.
Brenna Madruga plays it back. Two minutes to go.
Oh, yeah, another Gaucho player down after that collision.
Yep. Finally, play is stopped.
A lot of physicality going on. I would have thought that it's already September 3rd, just right in the building next to us.
Stanford Stadium just across the way. The football home opener, season opener, taking place in 6 days. Emma Corcoran, freshman from Windsor, California, up in Sonoma County, was the player who was down momentarily. Logan Smith starts it off. Ziem, well done on the far side. Somewhat inaccurate pass, but Simmering able to hang on to it.
To an extent, can you blame Santa Barbara for inaccurate passes with how this pressure is just – it wears on you like humidity does to an extent.
Yeah, much of it is Stanford's doing,
yeah.
But there have been more than their share of unforced errors for UCSB as well in that department. Shakes free from Montoya. Finds Hellwig. Keeps it alive.
Tried to center it. There's 1 minute
Emerson was the
before halftime.
Closest Gaucho to that inside the final minute first half. Bounding down the far boundary. Smith plays it forward.
Ten, 9, 8, 7.
Evans, the easy
6,
collection.
5.
Back
4,
to Ryan Campbell.
3, 2.
And the first
1.
half is in the books. All Stanford in the first 45 minutes. And much of it, Amy Sayer in the goal-scoring category. Sayer in the 21st minute. Sayer again in the 30th minute. And then Katie Duong adding another in the 39th minute. Stanford with a 3-0 lead over UCSB at the end of the first half.
Yeah, very impressive and dominating performance by the Cardinal in that first half. You talk about it, whenever you see a shot discrepancy like we did in the first half, and of course, just from what Stanford has done overall this season so far, yes, the first thought is, wow, they're really attacking, they're really good on offense. But another part of that, too, you have to think of is their defense must be very good, too, in terms of not letting opponents get those opportunities. Again, I mean, there was only – you can count on maybe, 1 or 2 fingers how many chances that UCSB actually had in the 18. So, real big credit to the Stanford defense in that first half.
Clicking on all cylinders for the Cardinal, it seems, but the first half does not portend how the second half may go. Let's see how that unfolds when we return for the second half of this one. Great to have you with us on GoStanford.com. Troy Clarity, Jordan Watkins. Halftime at Kagan. Stanford 3, UCSB 0.
All right, I hope you all have made your kitchen snack runs, refreshed on the drinks, because we're about ready to start the second half here at Laird Q. Kagan Stadium, the campus of Stanford University, alongside Troy Clarity. I am Jordan Watkins. And Troy, for the most part in that first half, obviously when you go into the locker room, you're trying to think, okay, here are the positives, here are the negatives. Not really much in the negative category for Stanford in that first half.
Not quite. About as smooth as you could draw it up if you were the Stanford Cardinal. You got some folks involved. You got to see 19 players play for Stanford in that first half. So certainly the depth that Paul Radcliffe really appreciates about this team coming to the fore. Interestingly enough, not the barrage of shots, just 6 shots for Stanford in that first half. You know, normally in games like this, you might be used to seeing maybe upwards of 20 shots in one half for Stanford. I go back to when they uncorked 44 shots on San Diego State in that game last year. 21 of those were on goal. Now, things you don't like to see, obviously Lumi Kosmeyer coming off early in the game after the collision with the UC Santa Barbara keeper. Let's see how that goes for the foreseeable future. And Elise Evans went down with a little bit of knock for a while as well, but she popped right back up and was back in the game. So right now, priority number one for Stanford, I think, is health. And also it wouldn't hurt if they still kept the foot on the gas against the Gauchos.
And just another update with Lumi Kosmeyer. I saw her come out of the locker room, and the ice was gone, but the shin guards were also off. So, again, showing you that she's going to be done for the afternoon. So here we are, Stanford now going from our left to right in the second half. Already a brace for Amy Sayer. And the other goal tallied on by Katie Duong. One of the things, too, Troy, because you just mentioned it, about keeping the foot on the gas, this is a good test where sometimes it can be easy. All right, you know, we're up by a good bit. As you see, Stanford already on the attack here, looking for something in the middle. Pretty good recovery defensively for the Gauchos, and Stanford will have to reset. But sometimes it's easy in games like this where it's, all right, we're up pretty handily. Naturally, you know, your body kind of wants to let off a little bit. Out wide again. Ball sent into the middle again. A strong delivery. Nobody was home for it. And Troy, that's the thing that I've noticed watching the Stanford team play. They're one of the very few moments and opportunities where you say no matter what, anytime a ball goes into the middle on a cross, you think good things are going to happen.
Yeah, and Doms and Kita Hata were the closest Cardinal in that last sequence to perhaps making something happen. We've seen it already. You know, Duong finishing one off, Sayer off a header as well. So Stanford able to certainly get the job done in those respects.
Taking a look over here at the scoreboard. Someone brought to our attention the clock technically has not started yet. There it goes. Now it's up to date.
Okay.
Was showing the 45, of course, at halftime, and now it's up and running. I think it got called to the officials' attention too, so now they're trying to make sure everything is paired and matched up.
Referee and UC Santa Barbara coach Paul Stumpf, or at least the fourth official anyway, having the conversation with Paul Stumpf, the UCSB head coach.
One of my favorite notes about Paul Stumpf, too, you talk about his long-tenured UCSB. When he took over the program, the 2 years before he got there, they won a combined 5 matches. Then he comes in, I believe that first year in conference play, they won 8. You talk about really building something and setting a foundation for what's to come.
Yeah, he's the 1999 Big West Coach of the Year for that performance. Also won that award again 16 years later.
Yep. 99 and 2015 for those of you at home who don't like doing math off the top of your head. Okay, well, what's 16 after 99? So I'll give you a little cheat there.
Well, we haven't seen too many situations like this so far in the match with UCSB. Potential chance off of a long free kick.
Gia Kim rings over the ball. She's the one that's going to put it in, and it's a pretty easy play for Ryan Campbell. As you heard Troy mention earlier in that first half, an absolutely beautiful day here on the farm. Troy, it's one of these days where obviously very happy to be here calling and watching some soccer with you, but even if I wasn't, I think today would be a good grill day.
No doubt. That was a terrific ball from Doms.
Throw in for the Cardinal, and off that first touch, it will go out of bounds from Amy Sayer, and it'll be a goal kick for the Gauchos.
UCSB going to its depth in the first half as well. Stanford played 19 players. The Gauchos put 17 out there.
One thing I was interested about seeing, too, was, we mentioned they basically did a goalie by half their last time out, but still in, it looks like, I believe, is Evans, who was in there in the first half, too. Because you talk about the depth, that's another part of it, too, that they've shown. Like you mentioned, 3 goalies already have seen action for the Gauchos this year. Not too much high pressure here being shown from the Gauchos, so Stanford will orchestrate from the back. Good run by Doms, and she wasn't fed and definitely felt some kind of way about it. Of course, never a bad thing if you can get the ball on Maya Dom's foot. Now she has it. Takes a second. Good move, and try to go for that left post and just missed wide.
Well, that's what Doms does. And well done to just take the one touch, get the space from the defender, and send it towards the far post. It almost worked. Didn't miss by much.
And Stanford with that high pressure. We talked about a little bit in the late first half about there have been some unforced errors, if you will, from the Gauchos, but kind of akin to what the old New York Jets quarterback Sam Darnold said, and more on that in a second. And Stanford again with a good look and an opportunity. And on that cross, Kita Hada just couldn't get her best foot on it, and an easy save again for Evans. But going back to what the old Jets quarterback Sam Darnold once said, that they caught him saying on Monday Night Football about seeing ghosts against the Patriots, where, man, that's what sometimes a good defense can do to you. Even when you're not there, it feels like you are.
Yep.
Here's Leontini. Now to the far side. Again, since the Gauchos, they don't use a lot of high pressure. You see how calm and comfortable Stanford is with orchestrating from that back line for offense. Nice move, buying herself some time is Engie. Now Stanford going to play it out wide. Can they find any room for someone in the middle? Good save. Here's a low ball in, and that was a really good look. Kita Hada was there.
Yep. Terrific vision, though, finding Williams heading towards the touchline to start it off.
And then a good effort by her to make sure it didn't go over that touchline, too. Gauchos trying to find a way to break this pressure. Looked like they might have had a chance for a second to do so, but it was a pretty strong touch. So Gauchos had to reset. Now they'll come out wide over on this near side. And a misread on it by Samantha Christie, and she even lets everyone know. Make sure to say my bad. And Troy, I know you were looking at some other scores around the Pac-12. What else is going on today?
Well, right down the road, UCLA and Santa Clara. UCLA, the 6th-ranked team in the country coming into this one, and they lead the Broncos 1-0. That's in the 55th minute. That is your marquee game involving Pac-12 teams today, as it's pretty busy up and down the conference right now.
And one of the things I want to say earlier, too, how spoiled are we if you're a soccer fan in the Bay Area where, like you mentioned, even last year you had a matchup of two of the most recent national champions. Of course, later on today, if you stick around, if you're here or maybe you want to come on later, Stanford men's on a good matchup against SMU.
Number 20, Alyssa O'Brien.
O'Brien coming on for Pitt.
Good job on that far side, winning possession. I believe that was Lauren Helwig. Again, she's the one that had the goal in the last time out for the Gauchos. Haven't really had to call her name much today.
Yeah, she's probably had the most possession of any of the Gauchos, but just hasn't had too many options.
Yeah.
And many opportunities to do things with the ball, to set up teammates.
Sayer with it. Ball looking back post, diving header off the post. Kita Hata was there. Doms had another chance at it too, and that's blocked out of play. But what a phenomenal effort by Andrea Kita Hata to get that one on target and just went off that right post.
Well, and once more, superb, exquisite service. This one from Samantha Williams. Off the right foot, got the bend towards Kita Hata, got everything there except the back of the net.
The thing, too, was when that ball was first put in by Williams, I didn't think Kita Hata had a chance to get to it and get a good shot. Here comes the ball in, punched away. Doms got a piece, another shot. It's blocked up front. Here comes another effort off it, and I believe it went off a Gaucho defender. But, man, talk about those opportunities. We talked about shots in that first half, too. Well, they're starting to ramp up in bunches now for the Cardinal.
Well, and 2 point-blank saves for the Gaucho. The first one off the keeper, Smith, as she denied Maya Doms a good look. And then a defensive save off the line as Smith fell to the ground after absorbing that shot from Doms, as Stanford just couldn't quite find a way through. I believe that might have been Zium with the defensive save.
I have another opportunity here. Here's Doms with it right at the top of the box on her right foot. Tried to get some room to get a shot off, but some superb Gaucho defense deters her away. I think that was Callie Liu who was defending Doms, and now a foul, and Doms gets it back. Quick play to restart the action for the Cardinal. Gaucho's bench calling for a handball, but no call. He played just a little over 10 minutes here in the second half now. Remember, in that first half, Stanford ended with, I believe, 6 shots. Already now the total for the game at 14. Great defense, and there's a turnover. Williams coming with it. Has some people in the middle. She can get it there. And just overshot past Sayer. But once again, the Gauchos cannot fully take advantage of the turnover. Now they do have it. Again, some superb defense coming from Samantha Christie again.
Well, as much as we talk about Samantha Williams' prowess on offense and on the attack, man, she works super hard on the defensive side of the ball as well. She has won her share of balls and started her share of attacks to get things going for Stanford. Almost saw another instance right there.
And that's part of it too, right? What makes an already dangerous offensive player even more dangerous? They have a way to get the ball back to get more opportunities.
Well, coaches will tell you defense doesn't start in the back.
Yes.
Right? It starts up front.
Exactly.
Your forwards working hard, getting the ball back.
Doms with it. Now going to do it on her own now. Gets it up to Sayer. Wide to Williams. And that will be cleared out. Throw in coming for Stanford.
Washington State leading Eastern Washington 2-1. That in the 57th minute. Up lower soccer field in lovely Pullman, Washington. And I don't say lovely sarcastically, folks. Pullman's actually a pretty neat spot.
I've been up there once now. We had a game on Halloween up against the Cougars. Oh, good ball. Doms one-on-one with the goalie and puts it home. The perfect back heel delivery to Maya Doms, and she deposits it 4-0 now, Cardinal.
Look at this, drawing them up in the dirt now. And somehow Stanford found Maya Doms unmarked. And once you saw where that ball was headed, who had it, and how much space she had to work, pretty much a foregone conclusion. Maya Doms putting it through. Doms.
You made a good point too, Troy. How in the world do you find Maya Doms that wide open?
One of the few times that she's been unmarked, it seems, especially around that space of the field.
And the offense to start off this second half for the Cardinal is absolutely shaking, rattling, and rolling. The reason why I say that, because there's a free giveaway today. It's like almost like a baby rattler shaker, if you will. So the fans here making a lot of noise with those.
Yeah, Stanford shakers.
Evans with it again. Stanford applying that high pressure.
Would love to hear a lot of those shakers here in this building on Thursday when Penn State comes here.
I'm sure that's going to be a great turnout for that. Maya Doms almost had another opportunity after an errant pass from the Gauchos, but now Stanford still with possession. Williams with it.
Penn State ranked number 10 in the country.
Cardinal go wide on the far side. Here comes that ball in. Looking for Doms. She got a head on it. And Evans, though, able to make the save.
Evan Smith right there, able to get the collection. As Dom's starting to become more and more of a focal point in the attack. Usually she is, especially in the first half, it seems, the one who stirs it up a little bit, sets it up for other teammates, but then there are stretches of matches where she becomes the focal point. It appears that we've reached that portion of the program.
Yeah, the best way to put it, the great players, they know how to let the game come to them. And to your point, I think Maya Dom, she knows like it's that point in the game where I'm going to leave my imprint and my mark on it. Substitutions coming in for the Gauchos. Haley Phillips coming back in. I believe also as well Emily Johnson, the senior back from Newport Beach, California. One thing's for sure, obviously Santa Barbara and Southern California, you already expect a lot of SoCal natives on this roster, but even when you think about the coaching and playing career of Paul Stumpf, he definitely has his footprint and imprint in Southern California soccer.
You have to, no matter who you are,
yes.
Right?
And a lot of his career in playing, whether it's in college, after went from junior college, and coaching as well, a lot of San Diego ties. And how about this run on the far side? One of the better chances or opportunities that we've seen for the Gauchos today, and they tried to get Phillips in the middle, nothing there, but Santa Barbara still on the attack. We'll see if the flag stays down, and believe it was going to go up, which is the reason why there was no touch, and it goes out of bounds for the Cardinal.
Well, it was a heck of a run. I believe that was either Ziem or Grauwinkle.
Yeah, I think it was
Grauwinkle. I think it's Grauwinkle. Really turned on the Jets on the far side.
That's the thing. If you're the Gauchos, you're looking for those opportunities to be explosive. Haven't really been a lot of opportunities to do so today, but there was that chance where you see it can't happen.
Well, yeah, and when those opportunities come, you have to cash in on them.
Absolutely. Gauchos with possession in the middle and then taken away. That was Leontini that was able to get it on her foot for Stanford first. And now she's back with it again with a lot of room in the middle. Tried to go to Sayer. Eventually got it back. Now Doms. A little under 30 minutes left to go. Stanford with, again, another potential chance. On the right foot, Kitahara missed wide. But even there, Troy, you could see just the danger that Andrea Kitahara can bring. I mean, she was in between, I'd say, what, maybe 3 or 4 Gauchos and still found a way to find some room to get a shot off?
She doesn't need a big window in order to take a crack at it. And good to see her back on the pitch, making her season debut against University of San Francisco on Thursday, playing 27 minutes up on the hilltop. Part of Stanford's 3-0 win over the Dons. Of course, she just got back from Costa Rica early last week after playing with the U.S. Under-20 women's national team.
Emma Corcoran coming in now for the Gauchos. Freshman from Windsor. Beautiful setup by Williams to get it to Doms. Now she'll go wide. Kitahara, can she get there? She cannot, as Emily Johnson won that foot race and sends it out. It will be a corner, though, for the Cardinal. And to this point, usually it's like defensively you'll say, okay, I'll take that. We can set up the defense. But this is where the Cardinal can be so dangerous. Oh, no, actually, they're going to say it's going to go to the Gauchos. I thought Stanford was going to have a corner there.
So did a lot of folks.
Well, I'll save that corner note for later. Ball restarted. Headed on by the Gauchos, but again, Stanford back. Devani Brandt, and she'll send it back to Campbell. Well, here's another maybe potential arc for Stanford. Is it now going to be a new thing of having great Campbells in goal?
Yeah. Jane Campbell a few years ago.
Yeah.
No relation between Jane and Ryan.
There's Jane from out from my way in the Metro Atlanta area.
That's right, yep.
And Ryan Campbell from Laguna Beach. There's Jane doing great things with the Houston Dash as Maya Doms couldn't get up to that one. A good ball. I just couldn't connect.
Well, and for a second there, Doms did have it timed perfectly. She was onside at the point of contact, but got behind everyone by the time the ball got there, but maybe just a bit too heavy on the touch.
And you just wonder how much time 4 players like Maya Doms might have left. As looks like a wholesale substitution is about to come in for Stanford in the next dead ball. And he sends it out wide. Rubenstein now back to the middle. Doms, good job using the body, just couldn't keep it on her foot. And no numbers really up front, though, for the Gauchos to counter.
Everyone's playing back, playing defense.
And we talked about a run earlier where here comes that pace again, and no whistle. Thought for a second Grauwinkle was going to be able to at least draw a foul call with her pace. But nothing there. Good job defensively by Stanford.
Grauwinkle with a big goal for UC Santa Barbara last year against Long Beach State. Got one in the 90th minute. That knocked Long Beach State out of the Big West tournament spot and ended their season right then and there. Meanwhile, UCSB went on.
Good ball, and Kitahara just missed getting it on her left foot. So again, here come the wholesale substitutions.
And for Stanford, number 3, Ali Montoya. Number 6,
Ali Montoya is going to come in. So does Katie Duong, Catherine Paulson. Jasmine Ike comes back on as well. Sarah Paulson. Abby Grubel coming in, Logan Smith, and Aki Uwasa.
Of those young ladies, Catherine Paulson making her debut in this match. We saw everyone else in the first half.
A redshirt sophomore from down the way, Los Altos, St. Francis High School. Here comes a shot, and right into the chest of the goalie. But again, before we talked about it, those shots, they're starting to come in bunches now for Stanford.
Oh, and Catherine Paulson coming on and immediately announcing her presence. So both the Paulson sisters on the pitch. I'm sure Papa Paulson's around here somewhere. Big smile on his face. Usually bump into him from time to time here at Kagan.
He's definitely a presence, and I know we talked about the holes earlier, and that's what another thing that reminds me of. You always can find Papa Hole around any Stanford women's basketball game for the last 4 years. See if the Gauchos can build up something, and, well, we have the answer to that question already. Taken away by Catherine Paulson.
Gauchos just have not been able to negotiate their way through the Stanford midfield at any point in this match.
I think their best opportunities or chances, like we've seen, you got to go on the outside on the far side and just hope that with the speed and pace of Groundwinkle, maybe you can make something happen there.
Yep.
Paulson tried to connect with Uwasa and just missed. Cardinal once again with it. And Uwasa, a little bit of frustration. I think she was expecting some players to move and try to build something going. Ended up having her pass be deflected, but now the Cardinal are in business, and they're going to go out wide. A good ball. And Stanford's so dangerous, getting balls back to the middle. Good move, evades one defender. Here comes the ball in, near post. And scooped up by Evan Smith.
Well, once again, a terrific ball towards the corner with Sarah Paulson, I believe, tracking it down, showing the tenacity and fighting off the defender, and again, giving their teammates a chance to make a play.
I mean, how many times have we seen, whether it's in a cross, set piece, you name it, one way or another, either a Stanford player, they find a way to get ahead on it, or they're right there in the vicinity.
Yep.
Not very much have we had a chance to say on a ball that goes in that it was hit too hard, too soft.
Nobody there.
Yes, exactly.
Pressure again.
Battle for the ball here on this near side. It's going to be won by the Gauchos.
Still 1-0 UCLA down at Santa Clara, by the way, 72nd minute there. 3-1 Cougs over Eastern Washington, 71st minute in Pullman. Ended up a draw in Denver between Arizona State and the University of Denver, one apiece.
High pressure forces another Stanford turnover. There's a ball in. The shot is blocked away. As Catherine Paulson had a look on goal, but it'll be a Stanford corner.
Yeah, kind of a tough angle for Paulson to negotiate her way through. And Melanie McCoy able to get there before there could be any real damage done.
20 shots now on the day for the Cardinal. And again, so talking about corners, usually as a defender, you think you did a good job forcing the other team to make a corner kick. But sometimes now for Stanford, it's like, oh, no, we just gave them a corner.
Meanwhile, that last sequence, if that had been Sarah Paulson, Sarah's a lefty. So who knows how that might have ended up if that had been off her foot.
Ball cleared away. And Campbell will come up to field. Stanford again. They attack in waves. Best way to put it.
Yep. UW down in SoCal, taking on Long Beach State. That's a 3-1 Husky lead in the 68th minute. A couple games later on today, Cal hosting UC San Diego. It's a 4 o'clock start. And a 5 o'clock Pacific start in Salt Lake City, which of course is on Mountain Time, between the Utes and Illinois State.
And we talked about how nice and toasty it is here today, where you might bring up the load management to an extent. Well, if you're playing in Salt Lake City, have fun with that altitude and elevation. That's another thing that can affect you.
And it can get a bit warm in Salt Lake as well. At Ute Field, gorgeous setting there.
All of their outdoor athletic facilities are beautiful.
Hard to beat.
Here come the Cardinal again. The ball gets to the middle. Is there a shot on? Yes, there is, but it goes wide. That went off the foot of Montoya.
Well, and Catherine Paulson surviving a forearm shiver there. She took a hard shot in the box. But Montoya with an opportunity there. That ball just kind of rolls towards you, and all sorts of things start to go through your head. Wide to the post.
You ever hear that phrase again? Sometimes you're just too wide open.
Oh, sure.
'74th minute, about to go into the 75th at Kagan Stadium. 4 goals in the first half for Stanford, 1 so far in the second. That one from Maya Doms. And the Cardinal are pursuing more. Montoya with it. Brings it to the middle. Flung on. That from Engie, but again, able to make the save on it is Evan Smith.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all that Duong could probably do with that ball. Either that or maybe try to settle it and wait for reinforcements, but I think she would have gotten converged upon. So can't fault her there for trying to go goalward with it as hard as she could.
And Troy's putting that was a 6, not a 5, so that was Katie Duong there. It's early in the year for the broadcasters, too. One thing I've really been impressed with Stanford today, too, Troy, is their ability to get these balls back, even if they make that errant pass or a strong touch. They find a way, they get it right back, and it's right back into that offensive system.
They clean up their own mistakes, and they clean up their teammates' mistakes.
Good move. That's going to draw a whistle.
Will
Oh,
it?
maybe it won't. All right. I think even the Gauchos expected one to be blown there.
So after all that, it's a corner kick.
So you have,
Corner kick, Stanford, number 24,
Abby Grubel over there to take this corner. Catherine Paulson's also standing over there near her. This one goes in, top of the box, and it was headed on and sent on towards the goal. And Campbell's got to, Evan Smith had to make the save over by that far post.
Yeah, I think that glanced off of Madison Ison's shin. They're on the back post, or at least close to it anyway, and Smith was able to be on the spot.
Once again, loose ball won by the Cardinal. But one thing's for sure, especially for the Gauchos, once they get into Big West Conference play, for the most part, I'm sure it's a good chance they won't see pressure like this again this year. But again, that's been the MO of Paul Strumpf in his tenure in the Gauchos. They always try to have a very tough non-conference schedule to get ready for when conference play starts. Obviously, Stanford does the same thing.
Yeah, they'll take their lumps a little bit early on. 1-5-2 to begin last year, but then they found a bit of a streak and were unbeaten in 8 in a row after that tough start. Went 6-0-2.
You also took a tumble, and now here comes a potential chance for the Gauchos. Sent on and in. We talked about her speed earlier, and finally Claire Grauwinkle was able to find the back of the net, and the Gauchos are on the board.
First goal allowed by Stanford this year, and yeah, that's pretty much the only way that UCSB was going to be able to find their way to even get a chance to the back of the net. None of this trying to build through the midfield stuff, because that just got snuffed out more often than not. Try to go over the top, try to find Grauwinkle, and let her do the work. That time it worked masterfully for UCSB.
I think E40 said it best. Just tell me when to go.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what she did. As we saw it earlier, right on that far side of how she can be a difference maker with that speed of hers, and perfect ball to her to give her an opportunity. 4-1 now in the 78th. The Cardinal already looking to strike back. Uasa lost it, now the Gauchos the other way.
E40 also said, don't buy an $85,000 car before you buy a house. That is sound advice.
Always good to get good financial lessons from one of, if not the biggest Bay Area sports fan. Pressure again. But even on that goal, Troy, I think it was something that I had noted earlier. Even when the Gauchos had been able to create turnovers, they didn't have many numbers forward.
Nope.
And finally, they were able to capitalize. And with this Cardinal defense, you just don't have many opportunities to create offensive chances. So when you do have them, you have to take advantage.
Elise Montoya on the pitch for Stanford right now. She's the number 3 recruit from the class of 2022 according to Top Drawer Soccer. Elise Evans, number 1. We'll see the number 2 recruit on Thursday with Amelia White from Penn State.
Ball cutting in. What a beauty. Abby Grubel off the delivery from Catherine Paulson. And Stanford answers the Gaucho goal with one of their own. It's now 5-1.
Just the easy flick to Grubel. Once again, service, giving your teammate a chance. And Grubel making that one look relatively easy. So is Stanford, 5-1.
Second time this year already Stanford has scored at least 5 goals. They did that as well against Sacramento State. The grad student from Santa Ana, California finds the back of the nets. That's her first on the year.
Off the assist from Catherine Paulson. Many of you watching and rooting for Stanford probably aware of Catherine's story. Had a terrific 2020 season, then got hurt against USC in the 11th minute. Then her twin sister Sarah got hurt in the 13th minute, both season-ending injuries, but they're both on the pitch here again today. After both missed out on the 2021 fall campaign.
Less than 10 minutes to go now.
Think Sayre gets a third before this one's over?
Why not? You already see. Already had a brace in the first half. Again, that was from Amy Sayre. Look at that defense again. Montoya was there, no whistle. One thing's for sure, the officials have been letting them play a good bit the second half.
Yeah, somewhat surprised that that trend continued there.
Well, one thing is for sure, though, it hasn't been a situation where you could say it's one-sided because, again, even down there on that side where we thought Stanford was going to get a call and they didn't. But now the Gaucho is trying to build something. But, again, the defense of Stanford there, Avani Brandt, who I believe we got to hear her karaoke stylings at halftime.
And Ryan Campbell's before the game.
Yep. It was a good go-to karaoke song. I wouldn't have thought about it. No One by Alicia Keys. If you had to pick one, what would be your go-to?
It wouldn't be No One. It would be none. We need to hear me singing.
In for Santa Barbara, number 19, Brenna Madruga. Number 25,
Throw-in coming for Stanford.
Lou. And number 27, Haley Phillips.
Again, some more substitutions coming in for Santa Barbara.
Okay, you got me. War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
There we go. Because again, the question wasn't, do I need or want to hear Troy sing? It's when Troy does sing, what is it going to be? Maybe that's one thing that you can do too on the for your college football broadcast this year. So again, congratulations to you for that.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
So you already have the schedule too. You know which games you're going to be calling.
It's going to be fun to be calling a couple of games for Compass Media Networks nationwide. So Wisconsin at Iowa and LSU Texas A&M. So far, I'd like to add on to that. So I'll probably keep the singing to an absolute minimum on those shows.
Of course, the one thing too, if you're going to go up to Iowa, make sure you don't wear some Stanford gear. I think they're still not over a certain Rose Bowl, happened back in 2016 New Year's.
Yeah, you remember the great Bino Cook?
Yep.
The great college football historian, longtime sports information director at Pitt, ABC Publicity, and just one of the all-time characters in the history of college football. And someone asked him, "Hey Bino, what's your favorite musical band?" And Bino, without hesitation, said, "Ohio State."
Here's one of the cool traditions. Their pregame script, Ohio.
Ooh, just missed Sayer there.
Yeah. I thought we were going to see the hat trick.
Yep. Bino and I worked together a lot during my days back at ESPN, and one day he said, "Troy, there's too many lawyers and not enough quarterbacks." He's not wrong.
Then again, if you are a lawyer, we know some that have done a little bit of both. I believe Todd Husak, for example, with Stanford, was a quarterback and also in the law profession. Rod Gilmore,
Yeah.
as well, does color commentary for ESPN. And I guess the thing is, well, if you take a couple of hits in football, I think I'd understand why there are a couple more lawyers.
Clear foul. Maybe.
And say, are we sure we can say what is or isn't a clear foul today?
Depends on which direction that was going to go.
I think even the Stanford bench, they were saying, yeah, okay, cool, there we go. And then they saw which way it was ruled and said, wait a minute. And per usual, that Stanford bench, they have been up, active, all match long, communicating, celebrating.
Got to give her the 10 yards.
That's been marked off, so now Gauchos will send one in. Not too much height for the Gauchos. They do have one player, Sophie Rodriguez, who is in. Had a little bit of a size advantage, but not really much they could do with it, as Campbell's going to let that one sail wide.
Oh, UCSB heads home after this, and they play 3 in a row at Harder, Pepperdine, San Jose State, and Fresno State. They don't begin conference play until the 15th when Cal Poly comes down.
And a lot of buildup on this left side for Stanford, especially in the second half. And they get another goal as it looked like they would have a chance. And finally, there's the whistle as it went out.
Ball surprised Grubel was able to even have a chance to get to that one. I thought that one had a bit too much weight on it initially. Stanford next Sunday hosting Cal Poly before heading out to Chicagoland for a two-step with Northwestern and DePaul. But of course, before that, on Thursday night, 10th-ranked Penn State right here in this building. That'll be a 7 p.m. kickoff on the Pac-12 network. That should be a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of those matchups where whoever gets to broadcast it, you'd still say, you don't have to pay me to be at that one.
Stanford and Penn State, of course, met in the 2019 NCAA tournament. Cardinal getting the better of the Nittany Lions then. That season also started with a trip out to University Park for Stanford. Cardinal won that one too.
A magical year for the Cardinal, of course, 2019 national champions.
Some familiar faces for Penn State that we'll see on Thursday. One of them, Penelope Hawking, who transferred from USC to Penn State this past offseason. Hawking with a couple of Pac-12 Forward of the Year trophies on her mantle. But now she is in the Big Ten. Allie Schlegel, terrific player. So this will be a tremendous test for Stanford on Thursday.
And then even going forward, too, you talk about the Chicago trip. So if you're a fan of any Bay Area team, you can knock off a lot of different things in one trip. In that time when Stanford's up there, women's soccer's up there, you also have the 49ers. They kick off the season against the Bears, and also the Giants are playing up at Wrigley Field against the Cubs.
You'll have to make a choice between Niners, Bears, and Stanford at DePaul, with that being a noon Central Time kickoff between the Niners and the Bears and a 1 p.m. start between Stanford and DePaul. So you're going to have to make a choice if you want to try to make both of those in the same day. But there are worse cities to be forced to make choices like that in.
Still on my bucket list to get up there. 89th minute. 3 in the first half for Stanford, 2 in the second. And Santa Barbara finally got on the board here in the second half as well. As we had contact in the box, and there's the whistle going the other way.
Yeah, that's as clear a foul as you could possibly have with Jasmine Ike shoving the UC Santa Barbara Gaucho to the ground. Maybe a touch of embellishment, but one that probably should have been called no matter what.
There is 1 minute remaining in the second half.
Under a minute now. The Cardinal look to improve to 3-0. And not included in that, again, we talked about a little earlier, their exhibition match with the China national team. I think that's one thing that's been really cool to see with Stanford athletics in general. They do a lot of things with these national teams. A few years ago, remember we saw the women's basketball team go up against Team USA. That was really cool to see Maples at pack for that one.
One of the Premier League teams trained here, I think, when they're having a friendly down in San Jose. I forget which one, but yeah, one of the Premier League teams was training on Stanford ground.
Might have been Man U, because I know they played against the I think the Quakes down at Levi's. As the final countdown will go, and there it is. There's the final whistle, and the Cardinal improve to 3-0 after a very impressive 5-1 win here over the Gauchos. Well, Troy, one thing that I found very interesting and impressive, if you will, from this today, we looked up at halftime, even though it felt like Stanford had all these more opportunities, they only had 6 shots. Now you look back up again, and they have 20 as a whole in the whole match. So 14 shots coming in that second half.
Yeah, Stanford finding a bit of a different gear with its attack, even though much of the run of play still took place on that side of the pitch. But Stanford being a bit more aggressive in the shot department, even though they didn't get quite as many goals in the second half, but it certainly worked out for the best, with Stanford still trying to fine-tune some things here, still trying to find the right combinations, the right chemistry, the right personnel on the pitch. Of course, we'll keep an eye on Lumi Kosmeyer, who suffered a bit of a knock colliding with the UC Santa Barbara goalkeeper early in the match. We did not see her the rest of the way, as Kosmeyer came out of the match in the 17th minute. So we'll keep an eye on her going forward for the next few days and see if she's able to go and what percentage that she'll be at on Thursday against Penn State. But maybe outside of that, can't argue if you're Paul Radcliffe with how this one turned out overall. Amy Sayer getting into the goal twice. Maya Doms putting one back in. Stanford looking crisp when it absolutely had to, and coming away with the win and going to a 3-0 record.
Yeah, one thing we talked about too coming out of halftime, right? You wanted to see, would Stanford be able to keep their foot on the gas? Well, not only did they put it on, they really floored it. Again, being very aggressive offensively and defensively in that second half. So again, a wrap-up for you. Goals for the Cardinal. You had the brace from Amy Sayer. Katie DeWong added one as well. Maya Dom started off the second half scoring, and then Abby Grubel finished it off. And then for Santa Barbara in that 78th minute, it was Claire Groundwinkle finally finding some room behind that Stanford defense to put one on for the Gauchos as well. Well, that will do it. Thanks again for tuning in for a little Sunday matinee women's soccer action. And the final score here, Stanford 5, Santa Barbara 1, alongside Troy Clarity. I'm Jordan Watkins. Thanks again for tuning in. For Troy, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. For me, I will be right back here in a few hours with, I believe, Tim Swartz doing a little Stanford men's soccer against SMU. And for everyone else, if you do tune in, I'll see you then. If not, have a great rest of your weekend and a wonderful start to your week.